Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fidelis Consultants, our first national webinar of the year. This year, we're going to be talking about, or this one, we're going to be talking about the website and social media strategies and our partnership with Ken French of Snoozy. And so I just want to thank you all again for taking time out of your busy day. I know you've got other things you could be doing, but you're here listening to us, and we certainly appreciate that. One thing I wanted to go over real quick, here's the map of our territories, if you will, our regions. Again, my name is Brad Woolard. I'm one of the regional sales directors for Fidelis Consultants. We also have Carrie DeVore, our other regional sales director here. And we do also have Marisa Knoll and Nick Santmeyer. I believe they are helping other agents right now, but these are your contacts here throughout the United States. So as you can tell, we can help you out anywhere you are nationally. And so we also have Ken French here, and he's going to talk about our partnership we have. And again, at the end of this, if you'd like some more information about our partnership with Snoozy and maybe how Fidelis can help you with your Medicare and ACA needs and what makes Fidelis unique amongst other FMOs, please feel free to contact us, reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to answer any questions. A couple quick notes. The chat is going to be monitored, but we will leave time at the end for questions and answers. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Ken.
Good morning, everyone. Let me just try to share my screen as best I can here. Bear with me one second. Okay, so let me kind of introduce myself. My name's Ken French. I think it's important you understand that I grew up in the insurance business. Got in this business back in the late 90s. We used to have a family-owned business that was just like Fidelis, where our clients were independent agents who sold employee benefits, Medicare, life, health insurance. And, you know, back then, obviously, I was a pretty young kid and used to go drive around and meet all of our agents. And my job was to get people into the 21st century back in 1999. And back then, that meant getting rid of the fax machine and getting a thing called email. And if you were really, really technically savvy, you had a scanner and you could scan your apps and send them to the carriers. And I used to help our agents try to do that. And as the years went on, started to help our agents build their first websites, create their first LinkedIn profiles. Well, to make a really, really long story short, healthcare reform came at the end of the 2000s. And my father, who had been running the company, he had gotten older and he was scared to death of healthcare reform. He thought that was the end. So he decided to sell the business. He retired. We had about 30 employees. They went to the company that bought us. And myself and my wife, we kind of looked in the mirror and said, well, maybe we go a different direction. We're already building websites for insurance agents. This is the future. Let's try to start a company that does this kind of across the nation. And this is our 16th year doing this. I've probably been working with my friends here at Fidelis for at least the last 5 years. But, you know, in general, I have a husband and wife business. Like I said, there's 5 of us here. We only work with insurance agents, and we do 2 things. We can help you build and manage your agency website, and we can help you post social media content if you don't have time to do that yourself. I always tell people my only rule is whatever we do, it's got to be compliant with CMS. If you guys get fined, I get fined, and I'm not getting fined. So I will speak up if you work with me. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We don't see your screen.
Oh.
And I think everyone needs to see your lovely face.
Bear with me, guys. I'm sorry. I'm hitting share. Okay. How about now?
Yes, now we see. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So again, just to kind of reiterate, this is who I am, Ken French. I work with my wife, Carrie. Again, we have a company, Snoozy, been doing this 16 years. And, you know, our main focus is helping agents increase retention, generate referrals, and cross-sell. And what I'm hoping to do today is, give you some tips on how you can set up or update your website, how you can use social media to focus on those three things. And I remember my grandfather telling me when I first got into this business, he said, good retention equals referrals. And I have always believed in that. When I chat with anybody new, I judge them on that. I always ask them, I say, how important is customer service to you? And if an agent says, nah, I'm not really concerned, everyone loves me, they're going to stay with me, usually that person is not too successful over the next 5 years. So my point is when we develop these websites, when we develop social media, everyone always wants leads. Yes, we all want leads, but referrals are much better than leads. And the way that you get referrals is you have a game plan to increase your retention and to use your web presence to help you with customer service. And that's going to be a big theme of what I talk about today. So, in my opinion, in 2025, there's kind of 4 key things you want to have on your checklist, right? Number one, you've got to have a website. I mean, I'm sure there's some people on today's call who say, I don't need it. No way. Don't need it. I'm that good. Again, I just think back to 1999, and there was always a few agents I went to when I would say, look, you've got to get rid of that fax machine. You've got to start using email. You've got to use a scanner. The reality is the guys who did not do that, they were gone in a year or two. They either had to sell out or they just kind of suffocated because they couldn't keep up. And to me, your website is beyond vital today. I always someone will always say, look, my clients don't care if I have a website. And you know what? I can buy that. But the people that your clients are referring to you, they want to see that you have a website. They're going to Google you. They're going to background check you. You've got to have some way to present yourself if they're using their smartphone to look at you. So obviously, A, you got to have a website. B, you got to have a social media presence. And we'll talk about this in a minute in more detail. Again, I'm a believer that social media starts with retention. You should have a business presence on social media. You should try to get as many of your clients, friends, and family to be following that. And you should be dripping good educational content on those people as much as possible, because that's how you're going to generate referrals. You're going to stay in front of your book of business, and they are going to refer you to people they are talking to who need help. Number 3, you need to have a Google business listing that's verified, and you need to prioritize getting 5-star reviews. And number 4, you've got to pay attention to what these people at Fidelis are telling you. There is a lot of technology that's out there. A lot of it they give you, whether it's, the Medicare Center, whether it's certain videos they're creating for you. There's stuff out there like online scheduling. There's now, obviously, digital SOA forms. All these things can be potentially put on your website. And like I said, I've been doing this for 16 years. You would be surprised how many agents say, hey, I want to get a website. And the first thing I say to them is, well, we got to make this website functional. We need to have reasons for you to be able to send people there to make your life easier so you can do more volume. And, I'll ask them, do you do this? Do you do that? Oh, I didn't know that existed. And it's like, well, this has been around for 18 years, I'm talking about like pearls and online, pricing abilities. So anyway, my point is that you need to identify those things. And if Fidelis is doing webinars about those things, please attend. And you need to kind of educate yourself on how those things can help you grow your business, because they're vital to be in your web presence. So what I want to do is I want to kind of show you one of my favorite clients. And her name is Bonnie, and she's probably about 65 years old. And if Bonnie, you're on today's call and that age is wrong, I'm sorry. But anyway, Bonnie is not very high tech. She does a lot of in-person appointments, very friendly, very local. But she was smart enough to kind of get her act together with her web presence a few years ago, and I think she does a fantastic job. And I'm just going to kind of show you what she's got going. So what you're looking at right now is if somebody Googled her. So I always kind of say, think of yourself as a consumer who's turning 65 maybe in a few months. You can't seem to get any answers. You're getting a million things in the mailbox. You're starting to get phone calls. You go to the gym. You're walking on the treadmill. Your best buddy's walking next to you. Hey, Carol, who helped you when you turned 65 last year? Oh, Bonnie Beliveau. She was great. She's so nice. Next thing you know, that person's whipping out their smartphone going, well, let me check out Bonnie and make sure she's legit. Well, if somebody Googles her, you can see here on the right that her Google business listing comes up. And you can see that she has 54 5 out of 5 star reviews. In my opinion, that's instant credibility. Number two, she's got her website. She's got her Facebook business page. She's got her LinkedIn page. If you were to kind of click through these things and take a look, you can see that everything is very consistent. It has the same message, the same branding, the same product focus. If we go to her website, there's kind of a section called Why Should I Work with Bonnie under About. And she's got some bullet points on what you can expect if you work with her. She's got a little testimonial section where, again, more of those 5-star reviews. So I'm not going to micro-analyze her website. I mean, we will go through it in a few minutes. But I think, number one, regardless if you work with me or if you work with somebody else with a website, this is an important thing when it comes to referrals. And you never know a referral who isn't going to call you. But everybody on today's call should go to Google and they should Google themselves and they should see what comes up. And in my opinion, this is an opportunity for you to control the narrative, to control the information about you, and to present yourself as very, very successful. Look, I can't remember who told me, but somebody said that the people who are turning 60, and this might have been Nabib or Nehu, the average consumer talks to 5 agents when they turn 65 before they enroll. So one of the things I always tell my clients is imagine that you're the 5th agent this person is talking to. You want to present yourself as super professional, super full-time, the expert, the guru. So you've got to have a website kind of like Bonnie's that tells them exactly what they're getting, what the process is going to be. If you go to her Facebook business page, you can see every day she's posting good little educational tips and updates about Medicare. You don't see her on here begging for business or begging for a quote. It's just good educational stuff. And again, to me, it kind of goes back to, imagining that the consumer has had a bad experience with other agents. And it's all about your presentation. The number one phone call I probably got last year was an agent calling me up saying, Ken, you've got to help me. I had a client who I was going to kind of seal the deal with, and then they kind of Googled me, or a potential client. They tried to Google me. They found my LinkedIn profile. My LinkedIn profile said I did real estate. And you know what? I kind of forgot about that profile for the last 5 years. And I used to do real estate before COVID, but that kind of fell apart, and I never fixed it. And I get these calls a lot where I call it being accountable for your online presence. And a lot of agents, they don't think LinkedIn's important. They don't think Facebook's important. More and more people are looking at this stuff. And when you project an inconsistent story, like if you tell people, no, I specialize in life insurance, Medicare, and guaranteed income planning, and then they Google you and find out that LinkedIn says you just do real estate and there's nothing about insurance, in my opinion, you look like somebody very questionable to do business with. So I think that there's a lot to be said. Like I said, after this webinar, going on, Googling yourself, check out your website, check out your Facebook business page, check out your LinkedIn page. They got to be like Bonnie's. They've got to all say the same story. They got to all look the same. To me, it's just you're throwing away business for nothing with that kind of stuff. Now, occasionally I'll have someone who says, I hate LinkedIn, I hate Facebook, I have no desire to fix it or do anything. Hey, that's okay. That's actually a strategy as well. Just go delete these pages and get off them. Get off them, because the consumer, they don't know if you care about these things or not. And like I said, when people go to your Facebook page and you haven't posted something since 4th of July, 2023, you look like you gave up and quit the business. And again, a lot of these consumers, the people they talked to before you, they disappeared on them. They had a bad experience. So don't project that. I think that's my point. So one of the things I want to do now is I want to talk real quick about what really worked well for a lot of my clients during AEP this year. Because I think the theme with your website and with social media is you've got to have a game plan for how you're going to use it. In the old days, when I used to build websites in 2005, 2006, there was probably like 50 Medicare sites on the internet in the United States for agents. So if somebody went on to Google and typed in Texas Medicare, yeah, that guy came up first and he really kicked butt. Well, in 2025, there's 200,000 agent websites out there. So if you have a website, you can't just sit there and go, oh, nothing's happening. Nobody's coming to my site. If that's the case, you're the problem. You've got to look in the mirror and go, this website is a tool. It's supposed to help me retain my business and cross-sell products and make my life easier. So I think that's the point of what I'm going to present to you. These are my star clients who use their website to grow their business, to retain their business. And I'm going to show you what they did. And hopefully some of these ideas help you this year. So as everyone knows, AEP was kind of tough this year. Obviously, there was a lot of what I would call volatility out there. My clients who really did well and generated a lot of referrals, they were people that, I kind of met with in May and June. And I had a lot of phone calls early in the summer where it was like, what am I going to do to get in front of my book of business and to keep them calm so that if other agents go and try to kind of pick them off, I've already stabilized them and they're not going anywhere. So one of the things I suggested is I said, well, you know what we should do is we should build a landing page about the Inflation Reduction Act. It should go over all the changes. And then we should try to get your clients to maybe if they've taken new drugs this year or if they're starting to see new doctors, have them fill that information out and then maybe access your calendar and set up a call sometime in August and September before AEP to kind of stabilize the situation. So here's an example of like a page I kind of created. We'll call it a landing page. And, you can see on here, I set up a little video about what the Inflation Reduction Act is. We kind of put that in writing, and then we kind of force the consumer into, potentially fill in their drug and doctor info, or go in and schedule a meeting with the agent. And, what I'm getting at is this was a piece to the puzzle. And what these agents did is they took that piece to the puzzle and then they put it into an email or they put it into a text and they proactively sent all this stuff out to their book of business during the summer. Basically having the people go to that landing page. The landing page then did all the explanation and, people booked meetings, they filled in their drugs. It created structure for the agent. I'm not saying that this is exactly what everyone has to do, but I think this is a good example of how you use your website to become more efficient and to create some structure for your consumers and clients so they feel like that you still love them and that you're taking care of them. And, I got a lot of calls in January from people who said, I lost 30% of my business this year. I kind of thought I could get through AEP without any damage, and maybe I should have been more proactive, but I wasn't. And, I lost my business to other agents. So I think my main point here is that the website, this is kind of what I look for in agents who want to work with me. It's like, look, I'm expecting you to check in from time to time. Tell me what you're doing, and then I can develop stuff like a landing page or things you can send your clients to, to make it more flawless, to make it easier. So that was one example of what worked well this AEP. The second thing was, and let me kind of tell you a little story. In 2023, it was probably around the end of December, kind of by the holidays, I got a call from a client of mine who was a new client. We'll call her Karen. Karen called me up and said, hey, Ken, I just wanted to check in. I just wanted to let you know that this is probably my last year in the business. I'm going to sell my book of business. I can't do this anymore. And I said, I had been working with her for about 10 months. And I said, oh, okay. What happened? What's wrong? And she just said, you know what? AEP really beat me up. People are just too intense. They're so unprofessional. They're so nasty. and I can't do it anymore. Clearly, it was just like a few days after AAP ended, she was just burned out. So I said, well, what was the main problem, you had? And she said, it's just me. The year before I had about 150 clients, and this year I have about 300 clients, and I just could not handle the volume. People were calling me up at 3, 4, 5 o'clock at night, and they were leaving voicemails, and I didn't have enough time. I couldn't call them back that day. I would call them back the next day, and they would just be so mean to me and so nasty that I didn't call them back the same day. And I don't have a solution. I'm not making enough money to hire another, support person. I give up. I don't know what to do. So I said to her, well, maybe I can develop something to kind of help you alleviate this. And I said, what's your voicemail strategy? And I remember her laughing at me. She's like, voicemail strategy? What does that mean? I said, well, let's listen to your voicemail. And her voicemail was just like, hey, this is Karen Smith. I'm unavailable. Leave a message. And I said, well, one of the things maybe we should try is, maybe I can develop an application on the website, and maybe in the voicemail you can tell people, hey, it's AAP, it's a little busy. You can leave a voicemail. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Or you can go to KarenSmithMedicare.com, and there you can get on my calendar and schedule a time to chat with me later today or tomorrow. So one of the things I developed with my team last year was kind of this new AI virtual assistant tool that can go on the website. And, if we click back and look at, if we look at Bonnie's site, she kind of has a simple one. You'll see it on the right-hand side here. It actually kind of welcomes and talks to the consumer. And really the point of it is that somebody is going to kind of call you up. They're going to get your voicemail, and then they're going to be referred to the website where they can click on schedule a meeting and go right into Bonnie's calendar. Or she also has kind of like a customer service tool where like they can go just kind of fill in a ticket, and then an autoresponder kind of comes back to them and says, hey, look, I've gotten your info. I'm working on it. I'll be in touch. So long story short, I ended up developing this, and I put it on probably about 4 or 5 of my clients' websites this fall as a test. And Karen was one of them. And, the results were just fantastic for Karen. She said all of that kind of nastiness went away. And like I said, it kind of goes back to the old school way of selling insurance. You've got to be able to, communicate with people. And, when people feel like they aren't going to get help, they get nasty. And if you can create some structure, if you can create a roadmap for them so they feel like, okay, I didn't talk to her, but I know I'm going to talk to her. There's a system. She has a system in place for helping me. The feedback I've gotten is everyone was totally fine with that. I mean, just to give you an example, I went to the dentist the other day, got my cleaning, all right, nothing exciting. The dentist comes in, he checks me out at the end. Ken, you're all good. I'll see you in 6 months. Before I can say, hey, can I schedule another Monday at 8 appointment? My pocket is buzzing. The dentist's system has already texted me their calendar, and I go in on my phone and I pick my time in 6 months and I schedule myself. So my point of that story is this is becoming very commonplace in the world. People want to get like instantaneous support and service. It doesn't mean that you have to personally hold their hand sitting next to them. On the flip side, and Bonnie is a perfect example, she does personally hold everyone's hand, and that's fine. But having technology and having a website, it shouldn't replace that, but it should buy you some time. And I think that was Karen's problem. She ran out of time. People got mad. People got nasty. She had no answers. We helped her kind of develop a little bit of structure and a system where people could go self-schedule with her. All of that nastiness went away. So, I mean, this is stuff I try to help people with. I'm not saying I'm launching rockets to Mars with this technology. It's meant to be simple technology because obviously a lot of the people using it are older. But the feedback I've gotten is those people, those consumers were more than happy to utilize those things. The third thing that worked really well was doing Facebook ads. And, I don't know how much you guys know about Facebook ads, but when it comes to Facebook, there's kind of two levels on how you do it. If you look at Bonnie's page, this is level one, right? You have a Facebook business page for your agency. You try to get as many people to follow it as possible. And then you really should be posting on it a few times a week. Because again, if somebody Googles you, right, they Google, oh, look, she's got a Facebook business page, and they look at it, you want to look active. You want to look like the expert. All of that's free. You can do all of that immediately right now for free. But one of the things that's kind of like the next level of Facebook is going in there and setting up an advertisement where you can have ads go to people that don't know you, and it can be very targeted, where you could choose all of the 64-year-olds within 2 miles of Phoenix. So, like I said, I could probably do a special webinar just on this, and maybe I will in the future. But my tip from what worked during AEP was the people that set up the ads in May and June and let them run all summer and all AEP, they're the ones that did fantastic. The agents that tried to set up their ad in October and November, they didn't do so well. And you say, well, why not? What's the difference? And I think the key to success is with these Facebook ads, you want to get the same people seeing your ad 10 or 15 times. You don't want to get 25,000 people seeing your ad once. Because like a billboard on the road, if they drive by once, it doesn't have a very big impact, and they probably don't remember it. If they drive by it every day on the way to work, maybe you can influence them. So to me, that is the tip with the Facebook ads, is that if you want to do them next year, number one, start to do them in May and June, mainly because there's not going to be that much competition out there. And number two, because you need to have these ads be seen a lot before AEP. And where I'm going is that you have to be very careful on what you set up for your target market. And this is probably the most complicated thing I've said in this webinar. But when you do the advertisement, most agents think, okay, I'm going to set this up to go to the whole state of Arizona, and I'm going to have it go to just 64-year-olds. And Facebook will come back and say, okay, you want to spend $500 and you want to have this go to all the 64-year-olds? Okay, well, there's, it's going to go out to about 45,000 64-year-olds. Most agents say, that's great. I'm going to pay $500 to have my ad go out to, how many 64-year-olds. But the problem is they're only seeing it once. So the better strategy is to take that $500, have the ad run for 3 or 4 months, and instead of having it go to the entire state of Arizona, you want to have it go to just one zip code, or maybe there's 5,000 or 10,000 64-year-olds. And that way, those people see your ad maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, and it runs all summer. And then when you get to AEP and they're ready to do something, boom, you get them. So anyway, a little, high-level strategy there, but, in my opinion, that is the key to success with Facebook ads. And what ends up usually happening is I always have an agent call me up, and they'll say, hey, one of my carriers is giving me $500 for AEP. I'm going to do a Facebook ad. And I usually tell them, I go, well, you're a little late to the party. It's already October. That's okay. I'm just going to put it all in for 1 week, and I'm going to have it go to 50,000 people. That person usually doesn't get any leads because they got 50,000 people seeing it once, and that's what kills them. So anyway, something to think about. Hopefully that information was helpful. Again, I go back to my first slide here. In my opinion, you got to kind of have these 4 things in place. You got to have a website, but you got to use the website for retention and for customer service. And if you do that, it's going to lead to referrals. You got to have a social media presence, but you don't want to look desperate on there. You want to post educational content. You want to look like the guru. 3, you got to have that Google business listing. And the more reviews you get on it, the more you're going to show up when people search, and the more credible you're going to look like. And then 4, you kind of have to use this technology that's out there, whether it's having an online calendar, whether it's integrating your CRM. All those things just help you become more efficient. So, if you're in a situation where you're kind of shaking your head saying, you know what, Ken's kind of right, but I don't think I can do all that stuff myself, that's kind of where Kerry and I come in. We might be able to help you. As I mentioned before, I have kind of an alliance with Fidelis. If you are an active Fidelis producer who's putting business through them, you can actually get some special pricing on my services. You can certainly go to snoozy.com. That's my main site. There you can see samples of our work. You can watch our demo. You can see pricing, all that kind of stuff. If you're an active Fidelis broker, you can go to fidelis.snoozy.net, and there you'll see the special pricing, et cetera. But basically what we do is two things. We can help you build a functional website, or if you don't have time every day to post on social media, like you feel like you're that person who says, yeah, Ken, I'm that person. I haven't posted since July 4th, 2023. I'm nervous about that. We kind of have that social media content service where we can post for you. And, where it starts is I just want to chat with you for 15 minutes. I want to go through your style. Do you do in-person appointments? Do you do phone calls? I want to go through your product focus. I don't actually want to change anything you're doing. I want to figure out, how do we come up with a game plan for you so that this thing helps you? And if there's some synergy in that first call, then we'll set up about a 30-minute interview. And during that call, we can kind of go through your branding, we can go through your product focus, and we can go through all your toys and technology you have that we can build into the site. And then it's kind of my job to do all the heavy lifting. We'll write all the content, make the website look nice. That takes about 4 days, and then we'll send it over to you. And together we'll go through it, we'll fine-tune it, and we'll get it up and running on whatever web address you have. Right now, our website services, if you're a Fidelis agent, is $69.99 a month. That's what our pricing is for our website services. There's no setup cost. It's a month-by-month contract. I don't have time to nickel and dime people. So everything is included. We'll set it up. If you need changes to the site, we're here to help you do them. If you need to redesign it each year, we're here to help you do that. Obviously, we'll make sure the site is secure and CMS compliant, ADA compliant. And I can, like I said, integrate all your tools. I can even integrate that AI customer service tool. If anyone on today's call is currently one of my clients, I just rolled out that AI customer service tool a few weeks ago to everyone. There is absolutely no cost to add it to your website. Just shoot me an email after today's call, and I'll send you over what I need. Probably takes me about 2 hours to build it and get it on there for you. But I think to me, it's a no-brainer. It will help you. It will help you service your clients. So just let me know on that. But yeah, so our website services are $70 a month if you're a Fidelis agent. If you're not a Fidelis agent, it's $10 more. The social media services right now includes Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter X. And basically, it includes setting up the pages if you don't have them. If you do have them, I'll tune up what you have. And basically, we post educational content, articles, updates, tips, deadline reminders. Obviously, we'll do an interview. We'll go through what your product focus is. If your product focus is life insurance, Medicare and ACA, we'll post that kind of content for you. But in my opinion, the right answer is that you handle the social media yourself. But the wrong answer is that you have these pages and you're not getting to them, and people are looking at them, and you're presenting, inconsistencies, and potentially presenting it looks like you left the business. The social media service as a standalone, like let's say you have your own website. Ken, I have a website. I don't need your help. I just need social media help. It's $85 a month with the Fidelis discount. So I really do two things. I build websites. We kind of have an agent platform. We also have an agency platform. It's a little bit more expensive. That would be if you have sub-agents and you're looking to promote those sub-agents, you're looking to recruit agents. We have the social media service, and then we have the elite package, which just bundles both together. For an independent agent or husband and wife business, it's $150 a month for the website and social media services. And like I said, I would suggest checking out snoozy.com or fidelis.snoozy.net. That's where you can really kind of see what's going on. So what I'm going to do is do my best to kind of answer some questions that have come in. I can't stress enough. I'm more than happy to chat with anybody. The one thing that I promise is I try to be very, very blunt. I don't charge a setup cost to build these things. And, to build you a website takes like 30 hours. It's not easy. It's a pain in the butt. But that's okay because I'm hoping I work with you for 3 or 4 years. I mean, that's how we're profitable here. And like I said, this is our 16th year doing this. But what I'm getting at is I would be more than happy to have kind of an initial call. And if I don't think I can help you, expect me to tell you that. It's nothing personal, but like I said, for us to be successful, you and me, we've got to have a game plan that both of us can be accountable for. And the game plan is not, oh, well, Ken built this website, now I do nothing and I'm going to get all these leads. It's 2025. Everybody has a website. You've got to figure out ways to use it for customer service, for marketing, for efficiency purposes. And like I said, I'm more than happy to trade some ideas on maybe how you can do that better. So that being said, I'm going to answer some questions. If anyone has a question, I suppose, Brad, how would they ask a question? Would they just kind of click on their name, click up top?
Yeah, so we do have the chat box, and then I believe we are gonna have they'll have the ability to unmute themselves. I know one of the first questions that came in, Ken, was what price range should we estimate for Facebook ads to have people see the ad 10 to 15 times?
Yeah, so good question. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I don't think there's a guaranteed number on what's going to work best. I guess to answer your question, it really comes down to your target market. So if you go in and set up maybe just your town and you find that there's 500 people in the target market, to get them to see it, 10 times, you might have to run that ad for like 90 to 120 days. So when you go into the Facebook ad setting, as you increase the dollar amount, Facebook kind of gives you those analytics, gives you those numbers. The less people in the target market, the less money you need, if that makes sense. I have some clients that they just spend $200 a year and they just let the ad run the whole year. I have other clients who have 15 ads running at once in all different zip codes, and they put $500 an ad on each of them. But pretty much all of them have these ads running for at least a quarter, right? 3 months. But in my opinion, you probably want to think more like 5 to 7 months having it running. So I would think that the bare minimum amount to have it run for that time period is probably going to be somewhere in that $400 range. Again, I'm not suggesting you go out and I always have people who say, well, my budget's $4,000. And I'll say, well, maybe you got to have 8 ads running at the same time as you get good. And each one has 500 in it. The more you put in, the thing that scares me is that you could have a lot more one-time views. So you have to lengthen the amount of time it runs. It's a complicated thing. One of the things I didn't mention is I do offer coaching and consulting. I do 30-minute sessions for $75 a session where I can kind of help you talk through this stuff. But at the end of the day, I think if you were to run it for 5 months, yeah, somewhere in that $350 to $450 range is probably going to be good enough. Some basic questions that I always get. The first question is always, hey, Ken, I have a website, I have email. If I work with you, do I have to change all that? Do I have to change my web address? Do I have to change my email? The answer is absolutely not. What we would do is build out a first draft. Once it looks good, wherever you own that web address, GoDaddy, Squarespace, Google Domains, we'll go in there and kind of remove the old web address hosting, and then we just kind of plug in the new hosting, and your old site turns off, your new site turns on, your email stays status quo. Absolutely don't want to change your web address. The other question I get is always about social media. People will say, Ken, I get it. I need to be posting more. But look, I only get to it maybe once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks. If I have you help me post, can I still go on and post myself from time to time? And the answer is absolutely yes. And I think that's a pretty good strategy. I always say, like, think of me as the daily drudgery, day in and day out. I'm kind of creating nice little graphics. I'm posting good educational content. And yeah, once every 2 weeks, if you can go in there and post, something a little bit more personalized, maybe it's a picture of you with a client. Maybe it's a picture of you at the town parade where your logo is being done, or maybe you're at one of your workshops. Anything to show that you're real and that you're out there doing things, those things work really well on social media, So yes, the answer to the question is we both can post at the same time. It only helps the big picture. Any other questions?
Ken, we had another one come in that said, we've got an agent that writes more than just Medicare, auto, home, et cetera.
Sure.
You can help. Can you help expand those in the SEO and cross-sell awareness?
Absolutely. Yeah, no. So if you go to my site, you can see some examples in the sample section. You'll see, like, I have full service websites where people do everything, right? Auto, home, commercial, life, health, Medicare. At the end of the day, I think what I was trying to say in the webinar is all that's good, right? We want to cross-sell those products. But we have to kind of come up with a way to present that to the consumer. And I see a lot of agents, they struggle with that. They might offer 25 different things. When you go to their website, because there's so much on there, you kind of have no idea what they do. So to me, that's kind of a branding thing. And that's one of the things I try to work with when we do the interview to get you started with the website. It's kind of like, all right, what are we trying to present here? Is there a focus? And usually I have to talk to people like their accountant. I say, okay, let's talk money. How much money are you making from auto and home? How much money are you making from Medicare? And I think once you kind of try to break that down like that, then you start to develop the website where it can highlight certain things, but then kind of cross-sell other things better. Because the worst thing in this business is you help somebody, they love you, and then you go talk to them in 6 months, and you find out that they went to another agent for life insurance because they had no idea you did that. And I always tell people, like, when that happens to you, you've got to look in the mirror. You're not doing a good enough job, So to me, that's a big part of what the online brand should present.
Awesome. Thank you. And again, if you have any more questions, you can put them in the chat, or you can now unmute yourself.
But yeah, I mean, just to kind of close out, I think that the key is it's kind of like, what is the game plan? And one of the most common phone calls I get, usually from like a larger agency, they'll say, hey, 3-4 years ago, we spent $5,000 on this website, and we were told it was going to change our agency and it was going to be amazing, and we never got anything out of it. And, usually the first question I ask them is I say, well, how many people during AEP did you send to the website to do this, this, and this? No one. No, we never send anyone to the website. We're hoping the website pulls people in. And I tell them, I say, look, that's the problem. Your website looks fine. It's kind of a shiny billboard. There's not much functionality on it. The problem is you guys never used it. It's kind of like somebody built you a hammer, and the hammer just sat on the ground. And your job is to hit things into the wall and build houses. And it's a game plan problem. And I think, to me, that's the starting point to getting results in this business with your web presence. You kind of have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of all this stuff? How does it help me retain business? How does it help me generate referrals? How does it help me cross-sell? And I think if you use those 3 fundamental tools, it's easier to figure out the good from the bad. Because a lot of times people just get greedy and they go, oh, I was told I was going to get all these leads. And they go down a path that doesn't really help them.
So good morning. This is Bon Brown. And Ken, I just wanted to say what a great presentation. Please know, sir, that I have appreciated working with you throughout the years. I'm looking forward to the future. And I will say that the $69.99 is great, and thank you for that. I will mention about Mr. French is that he is very direct, but as you can tell, he's very adept, very knowledgeable, has great deep knowledge within the industry itself. And I have appreciated him the times that like I said, he's very direct. So you got to put on your thick skin, but it's just very relevant and very worth the time and effort to work with him. And I've appreciated that. Thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Bond. Absolutely. And one thing too, and I'm sure Bond can verify this, is, one of the questions I always get from people is, well, how does pricing work? Are you going to raise my pricing next year? And I believe in client loyalty, and Bond has been a loyal client for a while. He has our elite package, which is $150 a month. He only pays $115, and that's because he's grandfathered on older pricing. And that's one of the things Kerry and I always have believed in, is that if you're loyal and you stay with us, and you kind of call in and check in from time to time and tell me what you're doing. Obviously, we're good at coming up with ideas, but I think for me, the best thing I can do for my clients is to reward the loyalty, because trust me, I get people all the time. They work with you for 3 months and then they go, my brother-in-law says he can do this. I'm going to try him. And they jump around. And with technology, like I said, it takes time to implement a plan and to use it. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that that's how we handle pricing. We don't raise pricing for current clients. What you sign up with is what you stick with. If you leave and come back, well, then you get what the current price is, because I do have to raise pricing every few years because of inflation and costs. But I know I've had a lot of clients, they say, that's one of the things that Ken and Kerry are always good with, is they reward loyalty. And I don't know how else I can reward loyalty other than kind of just keeping your pricing the same. But that's one thing I've always been proud of over the years. I always think of my cable company for TV, and every month it goes up 10%, and it's not enough to complain. But then after a year, you're like, gosh, this went up, another $10. Just, I don't ever want to be that. So anyway, thank you, Bond. I apologize for rambling, everyone.
My pleasure.
All right. Anyone else have anything else? Well, if not, Ken, I certainly appreciate your time. In the beginning, I know you had mentioned about on the website, folks' website, they should talking about the IRA, right? The Inflation Reduction Act.
Yes.
And I know that we at Fidelis, we have some exciting stuff. Kerry, are you still on?
I am on.
Would you like to tell any existing Fidelis agents about what we got going on with our own IRA before we close this out?
Oh, well, I don't know that the details are 100% ready to go out on national webinar right now, but I do want to tell everyone on this call to watch your email, because I believe later today, all of those details are going to be sent out. You will get a direct message sent to you. So if for some reason you've opted out of email messaging, make sure you reach out to your local Fidelis sales director. We are all here to help you, and we don't want you to miss out on it. Just a little bit of a spoiler. This part I can share with you. We know that it's so important to get out in front of as many people as you can. OEP creates, of course, a unique opportunity, because there are only certain ways that we're allowed to market, but the easy way to market year-round compliantly is to make sure that we're holding regular educational events. And of course, this year we have a great topic because of the Inflation Reduction Act that created a lot of Part D changes. And so there is a lot of confusion. We know that many of the consumers out there are just learning about how the changes have truly impacted their plans. So they're going to be looking for great guidance. And to make it even more fun and exciting for you to get out there and do as many presentations as you can, Fidelis is going to partner with you. We have a little bit of a contest to get you out there doing as many presentations as you can. particularly leading towards those Part D changes. We've actually created a presentation that's already passed compliance to make it super easy. If you need more information, like I said, we're going to be sending that out by email that gives you the great grand prizes and also the rules around the contest and what you need to do. But the great resource is, of course, the numbers and emails that you have right on the screen right now. Brad Woolard, myself, Carrie DeVore, Marisa Knoll, and Nick Santmeyer, we are all here to help you. Of course, we don't do it alone. We have an entire amazing team at Fidelis that backs up every single thing that we do, you know, from operations to compliance to contracting to everything. We have an entire team here to support you. But these 4 individuals on your screen, if you haven't done so, please take a screenshot because we are all here as a great first stop resource if there's anything that you need. But do watch your email because later today that IRA contest, I forget exactly how we worded it, but it's essentially your OEP educational presentations around Part D changes. And it's going to be awesome. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, Brad.
Thank you, Carrie. Yeah, sure will. That's a great way to explain it. Operation OEP. So anyway, yeah. Thank you all again. We appreciate your time. Ken, we appreciate your time and your partnership. And again, if anyone here would like to learn more about Fidelis and the Fidelis difference as far as the support and the resources, like Carrie was mentioning before, there's the names and emails. You can certainly reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you out. And other than that, we'll give you back some time in your day. Thank you all again so much for your time and hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you, everyone.